Real Madrid take a 2-1 first leg advantage against fierce rivals Atletico and are, in my opinion, 1 foot into the next round. Of course, they got the second leg to play in, but what we got finished watching today between Real and Atletico is honestly such a high-level display of football from both sides. I think you looked at two of the best teams in the world operating at such an incredible level. You look at this first goal, and I'm watching it on my TV right now, right? Fede Valverde, who's playing as a makeshift right back, the disguise, the way of pass to play Rodrygo in the way he does. And then Rodrygo, who in my opinion is just, I mean, you're looking at both these guys. These are two of the most underrated world level players in the game at the moment, but the pass is incredible. Rodrygo absolutely leaves Galan in the dust, and then cuts in, and then the strike on goal of his left. It's just absolutely unstoppable from Rodrygo. That's a moment right there of just individual brilliance from one of the best players in his position. But I want to give Fede so much credit in that moment right there, right? Because this is a guy that, for my reckoning, is the most complete player in the game. He can play in so many different positions. He doesn't really have any physical, technical, or mental weakness to him. Never really drops below a 7 out of 10, and even that is probably being harsh on him. You could probably argue 7.5, 8 out of 10. His standard level is so high no matter where on the pitch you play him. And that pass right there is something that he's probably added to his game over the last few seasons. And then Rodrygo, just the way he kind of takes that in stride, skips past Galan and unleashes that strike on his left. I continue saying this about Rodrygo. This is a player that I think is actually better on the left. I think if you were to name the best 3 left wingers in the world, you could make the argument they all play for Real Madrid. And he's just unfortunate that he's also able to play on the right. Maybe his versatility is a curse in this kind of moment, but he's so damn good off the right as well too. And he gave Real Madrid such a huge lead early on in the game. And I think in that moment, we thought Real Madrid were going to kind of just take over from there. And I actually think those two players, again, Rodrygo and Galan, are at the scene of the crime. And I think Galan and Atletico get very, very lucky because I think he takes him down. I'm looking at the replay and he's got Rodrygo's arm hooked with his own, and he's bringing him down. And some people will say, oh, maybe he goes down a little late. But I think he has the right to go down late in that situation. I think Galan is a lucky guy right there, and in my opinion, that should have been a penalty. But from that moment on, I give a lot of credit to Atletico Madrid. I think they really found themselves again in this game, because at one point it looked like Real were going to kind of just run away with this. But Atletico did really well to kind of slow the game down and play at their own pace. And for a while in that first half, it was all Atletico Madrid. It's one of the better halves of football that they'll play. And I think one thing of Atletico that people, the more they watch them, if they don't watch La Liga regularly, they have to remove this idea that Atletico, or the Atletico of a few years ago, with your Costas and your Godins and your Mirandas and your Gabis. This is not the defensive powerhouse Diego Simeone side of a few years ago. In fact, this Atletico Madrid team, they like to score goals. They like to attack. They like to go forward. They like to be the protagonists in games. And in that first half, they were the better side for most of it, I would say. And the way they grabbed their goals, again, just a sensational moment of individual brilliance. This time from Julian Alvarez, the big money signing this summer from Manchester City. And there's instances in football games, right, where you can prepare your team as well as you want. Defensively, you can be as rigid and compact as can be. But as they say, good defense, better offense. And that moment from Alvarez, right? You know what? Fair enough. I think Camavinga, he'll probably look at that back and think to himself, I could have been stronger in the tackle. I could have won that off Alvarez in the first place and even prevented the danger from happening. But forget about that, man. Alvarez finds his luck, gets past Camavinga. And you look at this goal, right? Alvarez, at no point in the move, actually squares up to the goal. He's never actually facing the goal. His body, excuse me, I'm still trying to talk to the mic. His body is actually facing like the other side of the pitch. It's a complete 90-degree angle to the goal. He doesn't face the goal once straight up. And yet he manages to wrap his entire foot around it, a la David Beckham if you'd like, a la Arjen Robben, to just bend it past Thibaut Courtois. And Courtois is one of the best for me, he's the best shot stopper in the world, Thibaut Courtois. The guy has no chance in that situation. I don't think you could put 2 goalkeepers in goal and they would save that. Unbelievable from Alvarez, who's just a player that I think a lot of people, when he made that big money move from Manchester City in the summer, questioned the price tag, questioned whether he was ready to lead the line for one of Europe's big teams. Me personally, I never had that doubt, because I think, first of all, if you can lead the line for a team that wins the World Cup, you're a top-level striker. You're a very, very good center forward. And I look at his contributions for City, and although they came in different positions, I always felt he was a player of quality. I always felt he was a player of immense quality. And the price tag, yeah, it was steep. But when I see Rasmus Højlund go for 72 million, when I see Darwin Núñez go for 70 million, why can't Julian Alvarez go for a similar fee? Why can't he go for more than them? He's accomplished more in the game than either of them. And he has repaid that transfer fee with goals on goals on goals. Today, I think it was his 7th in 8 or 9 Champions League games this season. He's been so crucial for everything Diego Simeone's side do. And another really, really well-taken goal from Alvarez. I'm a big fan of this kid. That second half creeps up and you're starting to think to yourself, uh-oh, is this going to be a game where Jude Bellingham is missing, Atletico take advantage? Because I'll be real, right? The two guys that we look forward to in Champions League games for Real Madrid, which is Vinicius and Mbappe, due to their incredible resumes in this competition, were absolutely anonymous today. Vinicius had a few bad months, to be honest with you, right? He hasn't been his absolute best for a while now. And Mbappe has been a lot better, granted, but today I thought both of them were absolute no-shows. I would give them both 3-4 out of 10 minimum, maximum. They were absolutely non-existent. And I think Rodrygo was actually the best of the three. But you were starting to think to yourself, could this be a game that Atletico take advantage of Real Madrid's attacking mishaps? Who's going to be the guy to step up in the absence of Jude, in the disappointments of Mbappe and Vinicius? And that man, alongside Rodrygo, was Brahim Diaz. Now, Brahim Diaz is, again, one of those guys that really goes under the radar at Real Madrid. But I can think of a few occasions now for Real that Brahim Diaz, when called upon, is able to make that difference. I can think of Leipzig last year in the Champions League. Called up from the start, made a big difference in that game. I can think of Manchester City coming off the bench, grabbing the equalizer in that game. And I can think of tonight, where again, no Jude, Mbappe and Vinicius not up at the races, and it's that kid in midfield. That little, I say he's a kid, he's a man, right? But you look at him, he's diminutive, he's small, he's not imposing physically, but he's so technically gifted. He's so nimble. He's so tenacious. He's willing to die for that Real Madrid badge. Look at the way he goes and celebrates with the fans like he's one of them after grabbing that goal. And it's an absolute moment of brilliance from Brahim Diaz. All 3 goals today, I think, are tremendous showings of quality. The way he just kind of interchanges with Vinicius, give and go. Vinicius gives it to Mendy. Mendy plays it into Brahim. Brahim squares up Jose Maria Jimenez, and Jimenez, I think, has to do a lot better. Brahim Diaz literally made Jimenez touch grass today. He made him touch ground. He made him touch earth. That shouldn't be happening for a center back of Jimenez's quality and his experience. But Brahim does so well there, leaves him on the ground, evades him, and just guides it with his right foot past Jan Oblak. Nothing Oblak can do about it. And it's 2-1 Real Madrid. And from there, I don't think they looked back, man. Like, yes, Atletico had their chances. Griezmann maybe could have done a little better when he picked up the ball on the right-hand side. And it was an easier save for Thibaut Courtois. But I think Real were very, very comfortable today. Again, not taking anything away from Atletico. I can remember a cross that Valverde did really well to take care of. Valverde, in my opinion, was the man of the match today. People will give love to Brahim. People will give love to Rodrygo. But I thought Fede Valverde put in a real captain's display today. I thought he was incredible for 90 minutes. And again, he's one of my favorite players because of his reliability, because of his consistency, because of his work ethic. And he's a real example for all other 10 players on the pitch, man. Never lets his standard drop below a 7 out of 10. And another guy I have to give big credit to is Luka Modric, who I think when he came on the pitch just killed the sting out of every single Atletico Madrid press. Atletico towards the end. We know Atletico Madrid are one of the most dangerous, in fact, they are the most dangerous team the minute the clock hits 80 minutes. Because you look at Atletico this year, no team in Europe utilizes their bench more than Atletico Madrid. 80 minutes hits the clock, and you're going to see Sorloth, you're going to see, I don't know, Samuel Lino at times, you're going to see Conor Gallagher, you're going to see players come off the bench in numbers. That's what Diego Simeone does. He uses his bench more than anybody else. And for the most part, they come on and make an impact. So as the clock hit 80 minutes and it was still only 2-1 for Real, I'm sure a few fans in the stadium would have been, I don't know, feeling a little nervous, thinking, uh-oh, are Atletico gonna do what they do every single game? But I think Modric did such a good job of just killing the impetus out of every single Atletico move, whether it was a press, whether it was a counterattack. I think he just did such a good job with his leadership, with his experience, with his cool head of slowing things down and making sure Real stayed in control of proceedings. Like, there was a point today where Conor Gallagher was just running like a rabid dog trying to close down Real. And every single time he tried to close down Luka, he just managed to just kill it, evade him, keep it, give it, go, get it back. Atletico couldn't hang with him, man. I thought his impact was so good. And towards the end of the game, he plays this ball into Mbappe. Mbappe looks up, only Vinicius to find in the box, and if he finds him, it's 3-1, and it's probably night-night for this tie. And I think it represented the games that Mbappe and Vinicius had, bro, because I think at their very best, they would have left today with a goal, or at least an assist. Mbappe wasn't able to find Vinicius, looks up, His pass doesn't have enough weight to it. It doesn't have enough accuracy to it. Atletico leave the game 2-1 down. And I think they'll be happy with that score, man. I think they'll look at that as yeah, we can go back to the Wanda and take advantage of this. Similar to what they did against Inter last year. Inter were definitely considered the favorites of that tie last year against Atletico. And in the first leg at the San Siro, only managed to get a 1-0 win. And trust me, they should have won that game by a lot more. They go to the Wanda, and it's a different ball game over there, bro. It's a different kettle of fish. The fans are intense. The stadium is booming. The players play with a bit more pep to their step. Diego Simeone just is an absolute madman possessed on the touchline. It's an uncomfortable game. And I think Real will find it uncomfortable next week. But when you have players like Rodrygo, when you have players like Brahim, Jude will be back next week, and you have to expect Mbappe and Vini to play a lot better, that kind of quality is very, very difficult to kind of get the best out of, or to better, over 2 legs. And it's why Real Madrid are such a different beast in the Champions League. I think they have 1 win in 5 in La Liga. They haven't been at their blistering best domestically. But when it comes to the European Cup, there is nobody like this club. And I think tonight was just another display. But I really enjoyed this game. I thought you saw 2 teams who were operating at such a high level. Tactically, it was such a fascinating watch. And I just love the Champions League because it gives us the chance to see the best players in the world do what they do night in, night out. And I think that's exactly what we got from this game. Bring on the second leg. And bring on tomorrow as well, too. PSG, Liverpool, Leverkusen, Bayern, Barcelona, Benfica. I wish I had more than 2 monitors. I would love to watch all these games. I wish I had more than 2 eyes. But we'll keep an eye out on as many games as possible. Check out the channel tomorrow. We'll be covering those games as well, too. Check out my Twitch. I'll be doing a watch-along for a few of those games as well, too. Like, share, subscribe. Keep supporting the channel. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.